Well, dear friends, it's the 9th of June. Nice and hot out here in Moscow. And your little fairy godfather of truth and unfortunate reality has arrived once more. So, the counter-offensive, or offensive really, of the Ukrainians has started. It's hard to understand this offensive because as far as the art of war, this is definitely not something that follows the art of war. There's not enough mass in any of the attacks to really push through. And they're all over the place. So there's not a concentrated main attack and maybe two supplementary attacks, figure out which one's which. There are a bunch of different attacks, and there are a few major ones. There's major killing grounds for the Ukrainians. So, after 5 days, the Ukrainian army has suffered more than 6,000 dead. Probably as many heavily wounded that won't be coming back. So basically about 2.5 brigades have been destroyed. Just on the first day alone, 8 Leopard tanks burning! Yeah, so much for the German Wunderwaffen. Worked about as well as every other German Wunderwaffen that they ever threw at us. Yes, I know, in the West they finally admitted one tank was burning. Yeah, well, multiply that by 8 and you cover the first day. There's been 4 more days of burning American and German tanks and Bradleys. Okay, the tanks aren't there. The American ones aren't there yet. They better start shipping them because they're going to be starting to run out of Leopard tanks pretty quick at the rate they're going. And a bunch of Bradleys. The rolling death coffins. Well, what the Americans really gave was the Ukrainians, though, was a blast. The MX Pros and the Cougars. Those are the big those are the big armored cars that SWAT uses. 4 meters tall, somewhere around there. Just huge. Yeah, they'll make a civilian shit his pants when something like that arrives in front of his house. Doesn't work really well on the battlefield. Never mind they sink in the mud because they're wheels, and there's only 4 of them, and they're relatively narrow. Good for roads and asphalt and hard surfaces. Shitty in mud. But on a battlefield, you see one of those rolling, and about 10 guys are about to go meet their maker. First RPG, let alone a Coronet. Coronet will take out any American tank. Any tank in the world is going to be burning from a Coronet. And these things aren't tanks. Oh, and I love the French, the French weasels as usual. Macron, I've sent them tanks, lots of tanks. How come your tanks have wheels? Well, they're wheeled tanks. Well, sorry, buddy. An AMX-10 is not a tank. An AMX-10 is an armored, wheeled personnel carrier. It just happens to have a turret on top of it with a 105mm gun, which won't do shit to a modern tank except scratch the paint and piss off the people inside. But hey, that's how that goes. It's the same thing as an American Striker. Just a little lower profile makes it a little more survivable, but it's about as much of a tank as I'm Chinese. So, there you go. The French being weasels as usual. Nothing new in this case. So, off we go into the great beyond for all these guys that are driving into these battlefields. Additionally, yes, it was Ukraine that blew up the dam. We had no reason to do it ourselves, as usual. Even though all the Western media, like the good owned parrots of the CIA, they all started squawking in rhythm that the Russians blew it up. So it did wash away the front line, a good chunk of the front line on our side of the Dnieper River. Of course, the Dnieper is now so wide and swampy that nobody's crossing that at the moment. Russian special services are emergency services are evacuating people. Lots and lots of people. There's 20, 30,000 people are being evacuated from towns and villages along the river. Have been flooded. And what are the Ukrainians doing? They're sending artillery to fire upon civilians being evacuated. That's your Western values right there. But there's another issue I want to cover. It's the American, well, even not so much American, Western love of being lied to. Every single war over the last 30 years, maybe more. Actually, it is more, but well, we can even start with Vietnam. You've been lied into. Actually, it's been a lot more in Vietnam. Even the Spanish-American War is a lie. But we'll just go as far as Vietnam. We don't want to blast anybody's brains by going too far into history. So every single war since Vietnam, you've been lied into. Every single one. America started countless wars, invasions, bombing sprees, murder and mayhem, and the people have been lied to. And then the people enjoy their moment of indignation when they realize they've been lied to. Oh, these bastard politicians have lied to us about this war. Until, hey, look, there's a birdie in another war. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, let's go defend democracy somewhere else. Your rights didn't get lost in Afghanistan. Your rights didn't get lost in Iraq. They didn't get lost in Yemen. They didn't get lost in Somalia. They didn't get lost in Yugoslavia. They didn't get lost in Vietnam. They didn't get lost in Grenada. They didn't get lost in Panama. They didn't get lost anywhere. You lost them yourselves by being too stupid to understand that your government is stripping you of everything you've got. Your rights. But you're too dumb to wake up. COVID was just like the damn final nail on the forehead for the vast majority of you. Good God, people. I mean, wake the hell up. Your own property. Your slaves. Try to do something that your representatives, if you want to call them that, I'd probably call them more like overlords, don't like, and see what happens to you. And then call yourself a free people. You're spied on. You're tracked. You're forced COVID passports. Who's going to be setting up their own little agenda soon? No, we're not party of that. But you are. The whole West is. You've been poisoned. You've been forced into taking poisonous experimental RNA. I won't even call them vaccines. They're gene therapies. They're gene destructive therapies. And so on and so on. And then you get indignant. Oh, how could they do that to us? But do you learn? No. You go right into the next lie. Because you like being lied to. I'm wondering, your grandkids are going to be cursing you out for the morons the majority of the people in the West are, for what they've done. The future they've created for themselves, their kids, and their grandkids. And by the way, Tara Reid applied, for those of you who don't know, Tara Reid applied for status of asylum, and got asylum in Russia. If you don't know who she is, she's the one that accused, well, there were 7 women that accused Biden of sexual misconduct when they worked for him when he was a senator. Yeah, that little old perv, he didn't just go out for his kids. He went out for women too. Grown women. Anyways, in 2020, she and 6 other women came out and they accused Biden of sexual misconduct. And she accused Biden of a bit more than that. Assault, basically. Didn't get to the rape part, but assault. And then she sent out her memoirs. And she came to Russia for a week as part of her memoirs being translated and help launch the sale of them here in Russia. And she was supposed to go testify in front of Congress, a congressional committee on Biden's misconduct. Well, she starts getting notification that if the moment she returns, she'll be arrested. What grounds? Hell no. Who cares? It's America. It's modern America. The president will do whatever the hell he wants. Everybody, all the criminal organizations like the FBI are on his side. So she gets arrested if she comes back. And as her contacts told her, you won't live to see a trial. You know, the good old American tradition, like with Epstein and John McAfee. The tendency of key witnesses to hang themselves. Their suicide is so surprising, they're even surprised. So there you go. A little bit of news to break through the monotony of being an owned serf in the West. Have fun. God bless.